So what was the inception for Partio Vineyards?
So my whole life I've enjoyed growing things, making things, building things. I got into craft beer brewing for a while. Still do that on occasion. Chris and I started to venture into wine. We did what most wine people do. We started with whites like Moscatos and Rieslings and things that were sweeter and a little easier to take. And then we progressed into the reds and kind of became wine fans. Back in 2017, I decided to do something crazy, and I grew maybe 20 vines and decided I wanted to try and grow some grapes and make some wine out of it. I made some white wine and some red wine. The white wine was good. The red wine was not. It wasn't the grapes' fault. It was my fault. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. I barely know what I'm doing now, but back then I knew nothing. I planted all my grapes in raised beds, which in the cold area that I live probably makes them more susceptible to winter kill and stuff because the roots aren't deep in the ground. But anyway, long story short, I learned a lot. I let that dream go. I've got dead vines out here right now you can look at. It shows you what happens if you don't water them for 4 years. But anyway, I decided I have this extra acre next to my house that's just been dormant and unused for 17 years, and I was trying to think of what I could do with it after we paid a guy to clear the field and get it all cleaned out. It was an opportunity being cleaned out to envision what could be there, and I thought about a vineyard. And I have this problem that friends and family know I can't do anything small. Why plant 20 vines if I can plant 400 vines? I'm going to scale back, though. I'm only going to plant 369 vines. But that's kind of how we got here. On a side note, I have some in-laws next door, and their kids, and in the summers we like to enjoy time out on the patio and party, and we call it the Partio. That's kind of where that name comes from, and it's a party on the patio, basically. We go out, we drink beer, drink wine, might smoke a cigar now and then, play games, do this pretty much from the time late spring to as far into the fall as we can get. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Tell me about your Cornell class you're taking.
3 or 4 years ago, I took a course through Cornell University's online program for craft brewing. I have a friend who
you can shout him out.
Brandon. He's a brewer for a local brewery here. Way more skilled at that than I am. But anyway, I enjoy brewing beer. I actually like brewing beer more than drinking beer. I know my nephews and some close family and friends enjoy that trait about me, but I'm happy to do so. I enjoy hosting and providing a venue or a place for people to have fun. I took that class through Cornell, and fast forward, currently I'm taking another course through Cornell on winemaking. My experiences making the wine from the grapes I had previously grown more or less exposed the need to educate myself more on the winemaking part rather than the grape growing part, although they're both very important. 2019, I just want everyone to know that we went to Argentina. Our friends and family are sick of hearing about us going to Argentina, but Argentina was a big player in this vision that I have. We went down to the base of the Andes Mountains to some vineyards in northern Argentina, and I walked those vineyards. We were there for several days, and I just thought, man, I could retire in this place. I could walk these vineyards every day. It was a fantastic experience. I got to take tours of these wineries and see how they do it. See these mass scale vineyards and how they're managing that and irrigating them and harvesting them. It was just very informative for me and got me excited about the idea. I have no business growing a vineyard in Utah. It's cold in the winter. It's super hot in the summer. For hell's sakes, I'm right at the southern tip of the Great Salt Lake. This does not sound like wine growing country by any means. People in my classes online at Cornell telling me, man, if you ever grow grapes and make a wine from the southern tip of the Great Salt Lake, I want a bottle sent to me. I've just got to taste what that's going to taste like. I wouldn't say they're all very confident in how this is going to end, but we'll see where it goes. I started out picking out the varieties. There's so many things to think about. The type of soil we have, the type of climate we have. So I did a little research. I looked around in Idaho where a university up in Idaho did a study with like 20 varieties to show their success rate in Idaho, which I felt would be a similar environment to what I have. But really, the best environment for me to compare myself to is down in Palisade, Colorado, where I've gone several times for wine festivals. And I've toured those vineyards and seen the varieties of grapes that they're growing down there. And to my surprise, many of the grapes they're growing are European vinifera cultivars or varieties. And that gave me confidence that perhaps I would have just as good a chance to succeed with that as them, given that our climates are almost identical. The difference being, of course, the soils I have here, and winters might be a little bit more in the extreme. Don't want to be all in with European grapes, so I went from 17 grapes that I picked kind of as my starting pool of varieties to pick from, and knowing that I didn't want to harvest and manage and ferment 17 different times, because that could happen if they're all ripe at different times and ready for processing, I decided I need to cut that down. Well, I cut it all the way down to 12. Probably would have been smarter to go to 3 or 4, but hey, we want to have some fun, and we want to blend grapes and wines if we can, and just make something interesting. So and, it helps mitigate any winter loss to maybe have some different varieties out there so I don't lose everything. So going back to the property I have to the east of my home, it's approximately 80% of 1 acre. It's 35,000 square feet, of which 30,000 square feet will be vines, 360 vines, 32 rows.
So this is not an instant gratification type project, you would say. So what is our anticipated harvest date?
Yes, so again, I've ordered the vines, so we're on the clock here. We're trying to get everything set up and be prepared to plant them. The first year, you're just establishing that trunk. You're wanting to get a 30 to 36 inch high vine, approximately pencil width in size, and you're just going to get through the first year, and then the second year we're going to train it on the wire. So you're looking at 3 years before you might get some grapes, but really the fourth year is when you're expecting a full crop of grapes. So yes, there's no instant gratification. You've got to take care of these grapes just like you're growing grapes those first 2 years. So yeah, you've definitely got to be committed. There's just a lot of work to do, maybe more than I appreciate yet. So in the meantime, if you don't have grapes yet, you might as well practice making wine. Recently, I just bought a wine kit to get 6 gallons of Sangiovese grapes juice from Italy. So I'm fermenting that right now, and in 3 weeks to a month, I'll be getting that prepared to be bottled. And I figure the least I could do is practice the winemaking, whether it's with juice or buying some grapes and going through that process so that by the time I have my own grapes, I have a half-assed chance of making it work.
Yeah, and luckily you have people that are willing to practice their wine tasting in the meantime.
Yes, I have people willing to test my products. I should at least shout out to some nephews I have that none of this would be possible without their help. They're single, by the way. Perhaps we'll feature them later. Learn more about them. Definitely appreciate everything they do for me on previous projects and this one, and I'm hoping to get them excited and engaged in this enough that when I'm gone, they'll take it. Go from there. The bottom line is this could be a train wreck or a very glorious thing. One way or the other, you're all going to see it.